The psychology of totalitarianism. This is an interesting subject. Can the masses be hypnotized? Mattias Desmet, professor at University of Ghent in Belgium, he has studied this extensively, and so has Irving Janis, calling it groupthink. Matthias Desmet calls it mass formation psychosis. He says it's like a hypnosis where the focus becomes very narrow and a whole areas of reality are not given attention by the masses. And it's like a group think, it's a group psychology. This ability to think critically um, goes away. Person is blind to the absurdities of this group think, that logic is disappearing. And this is what we have seen happening in these last 2 years, that certain kind of logic is not there. That what kind of health process is this where thousands of people get displaced, are on starvation? This is not logical that this is a health move that is made, but yet this is something that occupied the masses who could not see or really grasp anything outside of that narrative that was given to them. For example, even this cloth to be worn on the face, the pore size is 1,000 times bigger than the V size, and yet everybody feels that they are safe once they wear it. So this whole thing of logic just disappearing in so many places, some things which are absolutely staring you in the face, and yet it cannot be comprehended, absorbed, appreciated. What was interesting is also that the ones who were most in the grip of this mass formation psychosis are the educated, the more intelligent. They have become completely influenced and brainwashed into this narrative. And when the person awakens, they suddenly are surprised that they did not see it. So, all of these things that have been given, so much of lies and blatant lies, and the faith and the trust of people in the state, in the government, in the experts, in the media, this is what has led them to be abused, I would say. It's a misuse of the power by these authority figures to push a narrative which looked like it is for your safety and for your protection, but actually has the hidden agenda, which is, you may have heard of it, the New World Order, where there is a transfer of wealth more and more to the elites. The middle class is no more there. And then you have a world where it's the elite and this obedient slaves. Unbelievable. It just seems like it's out of a storybook. But this is exactly what has been happening. And all of this thing, how is it orchestrated? How is it that masses can lose their ability to think critically? The questions disappear. There are no questions. Questioning the science, questioning the mandates given. It's just like, okay, at least these things are there. At least these things are there. Let's just follow it. At least these things are there. Let's do it for the greater good. So it's the individual starts relating only to the collective. The individual is no longer looking at his or her own advantage or perception, and it is more what the masses are told to think is what they are thinking. And why is it that such educated, such highly intelligent people will come into this hypnosis, will come into this mass formation? Well, there's a whole psychology to it. It is not because they didn't have the um, expertise or the understanding, but it's the way the mind is structured and works when you put the mind into ultimate fear and danger, and this is what was orchestrated. A lot of fear was caused and created with using the word new and novel, something that's so unknown. Oh my God, it's so scary because we don't know anything. We don't know anything. And when this sort of thing is orchestrated and heightened, then the mind is ready to just grasp at any straw, at anything, and wants, and it craves for somebody to take charge, and to take charge fully with full authority. And that's what exactly happened. The state and the experts, the fake experts, the ones with questionable reputations, took charge and silenced the voices of people questioning and trying to put real science in front, were shut down, were silenced in different ways. In fact, Carey Mullis had said that this testing, which he himself invented, should not be used for diagnosis. But he was silenced. In fact, he died in 2019 under suspicious circumstances. So, how was this done? Escalating this fear, how what was the public put into so much fear? With a lot of language tools like novel, new, and terminologies, and a lot of visual images, stark images of people just dropping dead, or long lines and no hospital beds. And many of these were even photoshopped images, but who could notice that this was being spread? And bombardment of this, the bombardment of these messages, mathematical models by purchased experts from universities, and these models as if showing you a doomsday scenario if we didn't take action immediately, and the loss of lives that we would face would be so devastating. And so with this, the authorities could clamp down, like stay home, stay safe, don't socialize, stop meeting people, you are a hazard to each other, stay home, stay safe. And when this was done, it was actually distancing. Many of these measures which were taken made people isolated, lose their livelihoods, or and these sort of things made a loss of meaning in the ordinary, in the day-to-day things. You lost your sense of meaning, and when you lost your sense of meaning, felt so isolated, and then you were in utter panic and fear from what would happen, and a disconnect from the environment, from each other, from getting information, from debating, meeting. This was collapsed with this distancing kind of measures. And the symbolic cloth over the mouth and the nose is a message to the unconscious: don't speak, don't express, just shut up, just obey. And so this was the psychological game that was played, and numbers were flashed, and then people were always in PPE suits, quarantines, and this whole fear was escalated. Just lies, and more blatant lies, but visually and in every which way, emotionally, it was too overwhelming for people to combat. And then a decisive government giving you a pathway out. So when you have these four things, this isolation, loss of meaning, lots of fear, the unknown, and a disconnect from the environment, then suddenly there is a sense of purpose through following those measures. There's an object of anxiety given to you, the V, the virus, and then you are given a method, a strategy to cope up with it. And the method and strategy to deal with it are all these tyrannical mandates. But yet they give everybody a sort of sense of collective, the solidarity. So the connection which was taken away, now you got it in a strange way by this kind of an obedience to the collective and the solidarity. Let's save grandma, stop the spread, and flatten the curve. So these kind of slogans were repeated by celebrities, by leaders worldwide, the same scripts going around and round, bombardment and repetition, bombardment and repetition. And this narrow focus of only this illness being the key thing to worry about, no matter the other things being more dangerous. This was portrayed to you as danger, danger, danger. Newsreaders would have symbols of these menacing computer modeled V's dancing around their heads. And so it just created, when these images go straight to the unconscious and create this fear. And then you were given a fake collective heroic battle to win, that you can be a hero by following all this. And are you being obedient? Citizens were treated as if they are dumb, idiotic children who will misbehave, and they need to all behave if they want their freedom back. And this kind of reassurance of safety will come back, since we're getting everybody to obey. And you're guilty if you don't purchase and buy into this rhetoric, this propaganda. The propaganda machine was in full swing with lots of slogans. Save grandma, do it for others, don't do it for yourself, do it for others, so you don't kill other people. So you were given this kind of admonishment that you will kill other people if you don't obey this. And whoever didn't take the jabs, it's because they are not jabbed, because they don't wear that diaper on the face. Because only if everybody was jabbed and everybody listened and everybody covered themselves and everybody distanced could we save ourselves. And oh, these morons who don't listen. So this shaming was done of anybody who was not part of that mass culture. And this is the way in which mass formation psychosis has taken over. And almost when you talk, anybody talks anything outside of the narrative, they are surprised and shocked by their close family, relatives, friends, people who respected them, suddenly will ignore them, listen to them and belittle them. Oh, conspiracy theorist. There's also terminology invented by that elite group who is pushing this mass formation onto the public. And so it's like the leaders, without doing anything, can get everybody into their clutches and get them all obedient. And this is a danger of totalitarianism coming in very easily, unless we all wake up and say no. And we can say it because law is on our side. And the way out is that dissonant voices do need to speak up for this, for all the public to wake up and to be pulled out of this brainwashing. It's almost like a cult. We all know how cults can brainwash. We all know, even in individual families, if there is an abusive person who's emotionally abusing, they always emotionally abuse basis of making you feel fear, confusion and guilt. And these are the three emotions that have been created in the masses: fear, confusion, guilt. Unless you're following what we tell you in this narrow focus, you only have to pay attention to this illness and nothing else. Nothing else matters. Only this matters. Only saving ourselves. And giving us this narrow focus makes people feel a sense of control. So they also begin to focus only on the narrow, and the absurdity of all these lies and these thinking and these methods just escapes the mind, because it's in the grip of this kind of a hypnosis. And the way out is to be able to hear the opposite narrative, and for people who are awake to keep repeatedly speaking up, not to give up, repeatedly speak up in non-violent, friendly ways, and to understand that the mind is not free. The mind has got captured, and it will take time to open up, to heal, and to get out of that fear mongering that it's been subjected to. And hear the truth, that the truth is natural immunity can help us very much, much stronger than the jab one. That the terrain is more important than the germs. The germs are something we have to take care of and keep our hygienes. But when we use chemicals on our hands, we kill our microbiome, which is worst. And instead, we can just boost our terrain, our bodies, our immune functions through sunlight, exercise, breath work, and a lot more right nutrients. And when our terrain is so healthy, let any germ come in, it will be naturally chucked out. So we don't need to fear the germs and to seal off ourselves. We need to open up and build our strengths, and build our immunities, and then there isn't any risk at all. And so with this, I wish you a blessed day and blessed night. Take care. I'm Amita Sangvi Shah, your transpersonal psychotherapist and mind life coach. Thank you for listening.